Before I end tonight's show, I want to show you a video.
अरे बड़ा सीधा सा जानवर है। ओह माय गॉड। गया।
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you see this? Animal cruelty, I'm guessing. A security guard is slapping an innocent hippo. The animal is clearly disturbed. He's being slapped repeatedly and forced into his enclosure. This video is from India. Some reports say it is the Delhi Zoo. We've not been able to verify that. Some of you must have already seen this video. This clip is 1 month old at least, but it's suddenly doing the rounds on social media. And there's a reason we decided to talk about it tonight. There are 3 different stories in this video. The first and the obvious one is this. A security guard is slapping a hippo at a zoo. And if that's not bad enough, no one seems to be protesting this apparent cruelty. So the hippo is the victim and the guard the villain. That's the story at a glance. Now look closer. And this is story number 2. This hippo is trying to leave its enclosure. There are children roaming nearby. If the guard did not slap the animal back into the enclosure, it would have entered the visitors' area. Now, I know hippos don't eat humans. They are herbivorous. But these creatures are aggressive. Let me show you another clip. You saw that. This is how dangerous a hippo can be. Reports say these mammals kill around 500 people in Africa every year. Some of you may be surprised to learn that hippos are the world's deadliest mammals, after humans, of course. These animals weigh over 2,000 kilos. They can crush you to death. Long story short, there could have been mayhem at the zoo had this hippo managed to get out of its enclosure. This guard stopped that disaster from happening. He risked his own life to save others. So in story number 2, the guard is the hero. The third story is a case against the zoo. And this is what we want to build tonight. You know, the situation, this confrontation between the guard and the hippo could have been avoided altogether. The hippo would not have tried to escape its enclosure had it not been put in one. The real villain in the story is the zoo. Not just this zoo, but zoos around the world. Their business is not only unethical, but also dangerous, both for humans and animals. The idea of a zoo goes back to 2500 BCE. The enclosures used to house private collections of the wealthy. They would bring back exotic animals from their travels, then hire people to look after these animals. In the later civilizations, zoos sprung up in China, Greece, and Rome. They became popular in the 18th century. Scientists wanted to research animal behavior, so animals were kept in enclosures that resembled their natural habitat. As years passed, zoos became synonymous with education, a place where children could learn. Zoos then became all about conservation. The animals were locked up and kept under watch so that they could not be killed by humans or a change in their natural habitat. Today, this argument falls flat. Only 18% of captive animals are endangered. Some 4,000 species are currently kept in zoos the world over. Only 700 of them are endangered. What's keeping the rest of the animals behind bars? Money. Any fancy zoo will charge you around $50 for an entry ticket. Thousands of such tickets are sold every day. In the UK, for example, 30 million visits are made to zoos and animal collection centers every year. 30 million. In the US alone, the market size of the zoo and aquarium sector is worth $2.59 billion. Lives of animals and humans are being put at risk for money. Here's something that happened in the San Francisco Zoo in 2007. There was a 14-year-old Siberian tiger. Her name was Tatiana. On Christmas Day 2007, a group of young men decided to throw rocks at her. Tatiana was disturbed. She leaped out of her enclosure. and attacked these boys. 2 of them were killed. Police were forced to shoot the tiger. Something similar happened in 1987. There were 2 polar bears at the Brooklyn Zoo. Their names were Teddy and Lucy. Both bears were extremely well behaved. On a May night, a group of boys sneaked into the zoo. An 11-year-old dared to enter the polar bear enclosure, so he climbed up the tall fence. Later, the police received a 911 call. Passers-by had heard young boys screaming inside the zoo. When the cops reached, they found the bears mauling the remains of this young boy. The police opened fire. The bears were killed. Whose fault was this? In the case of the San Francisco Zoo, authorities found out that the tiger's enclosure was not tall enough. Let's come back to the hippo video. Do you think the animal's enclosure is safe? Where are the railings or barriers? This video must start a bigger conversation. That's why we are showing it tonight. One around zoos and the need to fade them out. That's the conversation we all should be having. What purpose are they serving anyway? We don't need zoos for education. Technology has offered us better alternatives. As for conservation, 40% of lion cubs die in zoos before 1 month of age. In the wild, only 30% die before they turn 6 months old. African elephants born in zoos die in 17 years. Those in the wild live much longer. For that matter, even in national parks, these elephants live up to 56 years. Many animals in zoos die of trauma or shock. In the Delhi Zoo, for example, 37 animals died of shock in 2020, 78 in 2019, 29 animals died in 2018. How is this conservation? How is this education? Like I said before, today zoos are only endangering the lives of animals and humans alike, and it's time to shut them down. Think about it. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.